Is President Trump's CFPB shakeup good or bad for consumers? Let's break it down. The Democrats are saying, look, we don't want to see people abused by large financial institutions.
Gary, moving to thing number 4, we're talking about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB. And Gary, you're saying a shakeup's coming from Trump. Thing number 4, big changes coming for the CFPB. Tell us more about that, Gary. I know we spoke about this bureau a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Rob, this is a complicated one. And the question is President Trump's CFPB shakeup good or bad for consumers? Let's break it down. So first of all, President Trump took significant steps to reduce the influence of the CFPB. That stands for Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. On February 1st, he dismissed the director, Rohit Chopra, and he moved the agency and placed it under Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. After he took command, Bessent immediately halted all CFPB activities. They put in a new acting director, and they've paused all CFPB oversight of financial institutions, including investigation and enforcement actions. What this did was effectively eliminated an entire category of government intervention in private financial transactions. And so, look, the CFPB had good stated intentions, but many of its regulations increase costs for banks, and those are passed on to consumers. Efforts to reduce credit card late fees and limit overdraft fees were popular, but again, these things seem consumer friendly. They harm responsible borrowers by raising interest rates and encouraging late payments and reducing credit access for low-income individuals. As always, when the government puts their thumb on the scale, it leads to problems. It's a very complicated topic.
Yeah, Gary, it seems like it is much more complicated than this. Can you elaborate a little bit more? And then how has the CFPB raised prices for consumers as well?
All right. So, Rob, let's actually talk about this. One of the things that DKI tries to do when we talk about these things is we always say we're going to talk policy, but not politics. But let's actually break down the partisan influence here, because there are some places where Democrats are pointing to examples and they're standing on solid ground. So the Democrats are saying, look, we don't want to see people abused by large financial institutions. And some of the late fees were ridiculous. Like, a check overdraft fee might be $50, which is far in excess of what it costs the bank. Some of the interest rates were what a reasonable person would consider to be abusive. And some of Rohit Chopra's initiatives, and he was a Democratic guy, they did have potential benefits. They were bolstering data privacy, eliminating junk fees, regulating buy now, pay later services, which we've pointed out previously as abusive. They've improved credit reporting accuracy. So when Democrats point to these things, they're standing on solid ground. This is a situation where their arguments make sense. Okay, now let's talk about the Republican side of it. And they're making two key points. One is that these agencies are interfering in the private markets. And so when you come in and you say, we're going to fix prices, we're going to limit fees, banks, they can only charge a certain amount, that doesn't lower the expenses. It merely moves the burden of those expenses from the people who are paying it to people who are more responsible, right? And so if you're paying your bills, you could look at this and it's very easy to say, well, we don't want to see poor people get hurt. Great, but guess what? You're now going to pay those fees. More importantly, when you fix these fees at a level below where the market would set them, what the government will do is encourage these banks to say, you know what, don't serve these people. Now, that's not their intention, but if the banks can't make money serving people, then those low-income people are going to lose access to the banking system. Now, one solution to that is Bitcoin, but we're not there yet. I would love to see Bitcoin replace a lot of the banking sector, but we're not ready for that at this point. And so Republicans are making a great argument here that, hey, we see what you're trying to do, but the effect of that is going to be to remove banking services from people who need them. Republicans are also claiming that Democrats were using the CFPB for questionable partisan goals, basically using it for Democratic money laundering. I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. I haven't really looked into it. I think these are things that DOJ should be looking at. We should be eliminating that kind of thing. But I do think this is a really complicated issue where both Democrats and Republicans have some reasonable points. In general, if you're asking me my opinion, I'd like to see the government making fewer regulations and incentivize banks to serve these people rather than provide the rules for how to serve these people. And I think, arm's length transactions tend to be best. But again, this is a complicated